Welcome to Politically Unstable with Charles Hurt, Washington Times opinion editor. I'm your host, Andy Parks, and I'd like to remind you that you qualify for a 50% discount on an annual digital subscription to the Washington Times simply by going to washingtontimes.com/Andy. That's washingtontimes.com/ANDY. And now here he is, Washington Times opinion editor, Charles Hurt. Hello, Charlie.
Hey, Andy. How you doing, buddy?
Doing fine. I read your column, Images of Biden's War Will Never Fade. You know, I've heard it a million times before. A picture's worth 1,000 words. Never was that more true than last week. What a pitiful-looking man who appears to be in way over his head.
Yeah, and it's kind of hard to be in way over your head after 50 years of being in a place doing something. How is that? It doesn't sort of really compute. But it's true. I mean, these images, and you couldn't even keep up with them because each image you saw, you thought, well, this is the worst image you'll ever see. And then 24 hours, oh, wow, that's an even worse image. Remember John Kerry in 2004 in the bunny suit? He was climbing through, there were a lot of things that contributed to the reason that he lost. But no one forgets that image of him in the bunny suit. I don't remember what he was actually in, but I'm pretty sure it was a McDonald's Playland tube that he was going through, because that's what he looked like.
Yeah.
And but these images, they become sort of iconic, and you can never undo them. And the image that we saw last week of Joe Biden at the podium in the East Room of the White House, just sort of curling up into the fetal position, gripping his portfolio, unable to answer a simple question. Just as an American, forget the partisan nature of it all, forget the political debates that we have outside of partisanship, but just about the fact that, this is what we should be doing as a government or shouldn't be doing as a government. Put all that aside. It was a heartbreaking moment to sit there and watch that guy just fold up in front of the American people as he tried to explain the decisions that he made that led to the death of 13 U.S. troops, all of which was completely unnecessary, did not need to happen. It was a disturbing moment. And right when you thought that, nothing could be worse than that image, not a couple of days later, he's at Dover Air Force Base at the ceremony receiving the 13 flag-draped caskets from Afghanistan of the very people that he sent to die over there. And they're taking him off the C-17, and he's standing there with his right hand covering his heart, looking down at his left wrist at his watch to check the time. I didn't think it could get any worse. And then, of course, it will never get worse than that one moment. But the images that we're seeing now of, the image that we saw of an American helicopter parading over Afghanistan, over Kabul, flown by a member of the Taliban with a body hanging down below it. That machinery, our very machinery of freedom, our war machinery that ensures our freedom, will be used and paraded around and used for propaganda purposes forever, for as long as the equipment lasts, as a reminder, as an insult to every American who paid for it and families who spent the most precious blood in that sand. And it will all be Joe Biden's fault. And those images, they will rot in our minds for the rest of our lives. On our deathbeds, Andy, we will still remember those images. We'll never scrape them from the imprint on our brains.
Yeah. In addition to giving away over $80 billion in American military goods, this administration handed the Taliban a list of people who had helped over the past 20 years, and now I understand they're executing these people.
Yeah. The images, the machinery is going to be there forever, and we'll never get that out of our minds. But it's a close second in terms of the horror that these people have, the atrocities that Joe Biden has committed against our countrymen, and by abandoning those people. And it didn't have to be. If there are valuable allies, important allies to get out of there, and we know with absolute certainty that there were American citizens that needed to be gotten out of there, you can do that. you can get them out of there before you leave, just like you can get $80 billion worth of equipment out of there before you leave. But the level of incompetence and stupidity and lack of thought and all of it, it's just astonishing. And don't forget this. To me, this is the most important thing, that as disastrous as all this was, the administration managed to vet and evacuate 104,000 people out of Kabul. Just 5,000 of them were U.S. citizens. So you mean to tell me 100,000 of these people that they evacuated out of Kabul were all interpreters for 1,200 soldiers? We had 100 interpreters for every soldier on the ground.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. And you expect these people to have vetted each one when they can't even maintain a border, our southern border? They can't even vet the people coming across the border there? This is the most basic elementary stuff. On September 12th of 2001, any regular, normal, intelligent American could have told you, 2001, what we needed to do. We needed to fortify commercial airplane cockpit doors. We needed to become energy independent. We needed to seal the border. The government has done everything they could to prevent people from the United States from becoming energy independent of that cesspool of the Middle East, oil. Still, private industry managed to get us energy independent over the past 10 years. The one thing that Democrats and Republicans have total responsibility over is sealing our border and fixing our visa system. And they refuse to do it. They turned it into politics. They won't do it. Neither side can manage to do it. And here we are, even today, as people are worried about, Afghanistan, metastasizing back into a terrorist training ground. They're too busy importing 100,000 Afghans into our country. That's their priority. These people are sick. They hate America. And I'm talking about Republicans too, because it's the Liz Cheneys and Ben Sasses and Mitt Romneys and Adam Kinzingers. All of these Republicans are just as vocal as Democrats are about or probably in many cases more vocal than a lot of Democrats about we have to save all the interpreters, all 100,000 of them apparently.
Images of Biden's war will never fade. That's the name of Charlie's latest column. You can check it out at WashingtonTimes.com. Charlie, always great to talk to you. Thanks. We'll do it again next week.
Sounds good, buddy. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Politically Unstable with Charlie Hurt. Remember, you can read all of Charlie's columns at WashingtonTimes.com. I'm Andy Parks. Have a great day.